Well, with new students, we need more instructors.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
So, if anyone out there is a flight instructor, I want to encourage them to come see me. And if they're not an instructor but have their commercial license, we can help them become an instructor.
So they get their instructor license and have a job too.
Exactly.
So you got a lot going on. The VA, the college, and now hiring instructors and future instructors too.
Yep. So now can we get the commercial started?
Already ahead of you.
Call Brad to get your adventure started today at Ocala Aviation, 861-7484.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 24 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. I want to tell you about an observation that I made a long time ago. And, radio, for some reason, because we do it every day, it's a job, it's a routine, and we don't really get that stage fright. But in the times when we have to do stage work, now, I don't know what it's like for a professional actor who's on a stage every night, but because I don't do stage work much, you and I don't do much of it, we find ourselves when we're in the wings of the stage waiting to be introduced or whatever, you get that nervous feeling, right? And you watch other people who get the same thing. I mean, you're not alone in this. And what do they normally do when and now introducing, Sally Smith, and then Sally takes the deep breath, and she walks out there. and I think it's the deep breath. That's how you handle this. You just take a deep breath and you walk out there. Same thing might happen. Okay, you're pulled over by the policeman, right? Right? He gets out of his car. He's walking up to your car. You take a deep breath. Yes, officer.
Yeah.
You take that deep breath. And I never really thought about it, but I was thinking about it as I was looking through the book we're about to talk about. The book is called The Daily Breath. And in addition to those things, there's also the road rage part of this. It was part of the suggested talking points for the book, but there's so much more to the book than just that. Scott A. Morofsky is the author. He's a personal trainer certified by the American Council on Exercise. He's a licensed massage therapist. He overcame his own physical disability as a young boy and had personal involvement in his recovery. He specializes in joint replacement rehabilitation, and physical training for seniors. He is a spiritualist as well, it says here, and his book, again, is The Daily Breath. And we apologize to him because last week he was scheduled, but then something happened with the scheduling, so we had to postpone it till today. Yeah. So anyway, we were looking forward to this last week and again this morning. Scott Morofsky. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning. What a great intro.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for being patient with us as we had whatever we did last week. I think Robin explained it to you. Yeah. So where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm in Westchester, New York, on the Hudson River by the Tappan Zee Bridge.
Oh, I love that area.
Oh, nice.
I grew up on Long Island. I used to go up there with my dad, just kind of scouting around. We observed the breath technique to deal with stage fright. I don't know what it does physically, but we noticed people do it.
Absolutely. I am just so involved with making distinctions now, which include road rage, in wellness. To be healthy, I find, is definitely included in wellness, but it is not wellness. You can be very healthy physically, and we've all seen people who really are not well. And
yes.
In a lot, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, but they eat the right things, their blood pressure's okay. However, I'm finding that wellness touches every area of our life. And the one tool that we have that we can use in every area of our life, including acting and public speaking and waiting off in the wings, is breathing. And what better place than behind the wheel in a car? Right?
So what is it? What happened? Is there an explanation for it? Is it therapeutic? Is it the oxygen? Do we pull in more oxygen?
Well, if you want to go from that angle, absolutely. Physiologically, medically speaking, we are just on the cusp of learning just how important the levels and frequency of taking in oxygen is. We're talking about the AMA speaking about prevention of Alzheimer's, oxygenating your cells with better breathing can also prevent or help fight cancers. Cancer has a very difficult time flourishing in deoxygenated, in oxygenated environments.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, it's and not even to speak about history of millennia of the cultures that knew about breathing, the Asian, Oriental, yoga, acupuncture, shiatsu, martial arts, now exercise, contemporary exercise techniques, Lamaze. It's just...
you're right. It shows up in almost everything. So do you have your own personal story that enabled you to stumble upon your conclusions?
Well, it's a long story. Yes, I was disabled as a boy. I had a full leg brace and crutches, and I had overcome it, and I now have a hip replacement myself. Thank God I got that, and it was the best thing I ever did. And through that, let's just start in the early 80s, I became a health professional. And by the mid-'80s, I had a live phone service called The Daily Breath. And we did live phone sessions for 3 to 5 minutes where I worked with my clients to help get them focused, centered, relaxed, reduce their stress through breathing exercises and visualizations on the phone. So that was in the mid-'80s. And a long story short, that book that you're talking about, The Daily Breath, is a culmination of so many.
Oh, okay.
I call the breathing, and the way I work is practical application. In applying breathing by reading about it, listening to my audios, which are at the website, and the other book that I have, Relativity, Empowering Wellness Through Communication, which was my first book, helps to pave the way to organize what's in our mind, in our body, our past histories. And we deal with crossover afflictions that can hamper breathing, like smoking, lethargy, procrastination.
Right.
Relativity is not it's not an answer. It's not a solution. It's a tool in our toolbox for dealing with every situation in life.
So, gosh, I have so many questions already, and thank goodness we have enough time to squeeze in a few of these. So, if I breathe, I'm trying to think the science here. The oxygen goes into my lungs, and you're a massage therapist. Does massaging or exercising or moving muscles or something actually help deliver the oxygen? I mean, once it's in your lungs, it gets to your blood. But is that enough? I mean, do you have to do other things to get it into the different parts of your body?
Well, it's just to isolate one modality called breathing is very limiting. You're not going to get a certain answer that will touch everything. However, when we condition ourselves to breathe and strengthen a muscle called the diaphragm muscle, which is responsible for stretching the area of the lungs to bring in air into the lungs, when you practice and develop that, you become, in every breath through your day, the better fit your diaphragm muscle is, the more oxygen you're going to take in at a resting rate. So even when you're resting, your diaphragm has more flexibility and more capability to keep oxygen coming in. How many times do you notice through your day where you either stop breathing or you're limiting your breath? I mean, the most simple things. When I notice I limit my breath, I'm washing dishes. My belly is leaning against the sink,
right,
and I stop breathing. And I remember I wrote a daily breath on that.
Oh wow!
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow!
So those are the practical application of what relativity does. Is okay. I'm carrying my cat's bowl of water to the sink, and I want to wash it out. And I notice it can be a very spiritual breathing act where you try and focus on the middle of the bowl of the water, and you take a breath, you drop your shoulders, and you make it to the sink, and you fill the bowl up without dropping anything.
I do that with my dog bowl. Yeah,
I think I can relate to that, actually.
Yeah.
Scott,
Right.
we need to take a little break. We just weather and a couple of commercials, and we'll be right back. The book is called The Daily Breath. Our guest, Scott A. Morofsky, will be right back with Scott after this.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, more clouds and sun, along with a couple of thunderstorms, mainly during the afternoon hours over the interior. The high today 90 to 94, and partly cloudy tonight with a shower and thunderstorm around, low 73 to 77. For tomorrow, partly sunny with a thunderstorm popping up in the afternoon, high 91 to 95. For Wednesday, sun and some clouds with a couple of afternoon thunderstorms, high 90 to 94. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
If you're anything like I was, the thought of getting older was the last thing on your mind. But here we are. For me, it started slowly. The lack of energy, never being in the mood, and when I was, I could never perform at my best. I tried the pills and other treatments with minimal results, and all but given up on my sex life. Then I found the doctors at New Male Medical Center. Wow, they made a new male out of me. Feel like I'm 25 again. I have renewed vigor, so much more energy, and no longer worry about my performance. New Male treated me like my situation was one of a kind, with a custom treatment plan that really works. I feel great. They can create one for you too. It does not matter if you suffer from low testosterone, erectile dysfunction, or just want to last longer. New Male will help you.
Call New Male Medical Center today at 352-404-4779. 352-404-4779. That's 352-404-4779. It will change your life. 352-404-4779.
All right, 12 minutes before 10 o'clock. So the other day I was watching this YouTube video, and some sweet young lady who was an actress, and I don't remember who she was, but she was talking about she was driving in L.A., and somebody cut her off, and she got into the road rage. She got into that whole road rage thing. I'm thinking, oh, wow. Even she gets road rage. This was like, gosh, I wish I could remember her name, but she's one of those actresses you would never expect this from, right?
Right.
And then, she said, but I said, I took a deep breath, and I said, okay, just forget it. He's just an idiot. I'm just taking. but the word the expression take a deep breath came into play.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Does that help at all? We do have the road rage part of this interview we wanted to make sure we talk about.
And that's what we were talking about on the break. I personally, my phrase, which I breathe into, is it worth it? Is it worth my life, injury, losing myself in death due to the ego or the rage that comes from the ego? And by the way, what I call the ego is bloated nothingness, by the way. Yeah. And that's what ego is. The job of our ego, especially behind the wheel, is to keep us alive. And one person once told me its job is to get us across the street safely. And any other job the ego has, or separate from survival, it makes terrible. It makes a mess out of everything because it wants to prove how big and strong it is. So, that being said, behind the wheel, everybody has a different phrase or prayer or a picture on the dashboard of the people that matter and love you. Anything that works. I'm not saying that there's any one way, but I have an acronym that I use while I'm driving and in many different situations, and it's called WAIT, W-A-I-T. Where am I tense? And it also means, what am I thinking? It's purposely made simple. Wait, and drop my shoulders. Am I holding the wheel tight? Am I tilling the soil to make me more receptive to a reactive, aggressive response? No matter what's happening, when you going back to the muscles, when we hold tension, we are restricting oxygen flow. And where we most commonly have it, especially in driving, is in our neck and shoulders. And by relaxing and stretching and practicing breathing and weight, where am I tense, and scanning our bodies, we literally open the muscle fibers and our brains to more oxygen. When we tense our neck and our shoulders, we're literally squeezing down on the carotid artery, which feeds our brain.
So by breathing, we're not just talking about through the nostrils and through the mouth. We're talking about the whole body breathing.
Oh, every cell in our body breathes. Every cell has respiration. In order to have energy, we must have an oxygen molecule that can mix with glycogen. That is the fuel for movement of the muscle or contracting the muscle. So oxygen plus glycogen means you can have energy. So this goes back to our energy levels as well. So if we're sedentary in our lifestyles, it's even more important to do some regular deep, full breathing, do the conditioning of, I like to say, I'll plug my books, I have my audios, and, it works. What were you going to say?
Well, the book is broken up into like one-page like ideas, things you can do, single-page ideas. So and it covers everything from your faith in God to your sex life. I mean everything. Not that that's one extreme or the other. They're both on the same place.
I'm looking at it now. I have rushing, I have the business of breathing, inflatables, when you're blowing up something, exercise themes, lowering your heart rate. I literally lower my heart rate on my cardio machines by closing my eyes and doing some conscious breathing.
Oh, really?
Special technique, but being aware. If I say to you right now, I just say the word, breathe, what do? You naturally shift it, right?
Yeah, because
am I breathing?
Yeah, if you tell somebody to breathe, then right away I was tensing up because it's like, okay, I've got to try and do this,
breathe.
And that's hard.
Right. What was the first action you both did when you entered into this life? You took a breath. And it's going to be our last action.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing, it's such a valuable tool.
And that's what they say when somebody dies, that it's a huge breath.
And it's been your friend and your companion and your connection to your inner world and to your outer world. And I'm going to reach out, I'm going to go out on a thin branch here, and your connection to your power of life, your source of life. I call it God because I am comfortable with that, but it really doesn't matter in my eyes what each of us calls it. When we take a breath, it was given to us not only as a gift, but as a mode to stay on our journey and evolve as beings, spiritual, mental, physical. Here, take this and use this gift. And you see how elaborate it can be in all of, on the radio, it's public speaking. You guys had to be trained in breathing. If you're not breathing, you ain't speaking too well, right? No pun intended.
Now, last week, I don't know if you saw this story. Last week there was a story about a pill that was approved to improve your intelligence. I don't know if that was a publicity stunt or what that was, but your book says something about breathing will actually improve your thinking, your clarity of thinking, and I buy because that plays into that whole thing of oxygen.
Absolutely, Larry. It's an add-on to everything. I'm not going to endorse or downplay any sort of pill, tool, method, technique, plan, program, diet. You can punch holes in everything. The one thing you can't punch a hole in is better breathing. Right? And let's say that pill does have potential. Better breathing can only help it. let's say, you're on a workout program that, is not the best for you. It's a little dangerous, but it's helping your overall fitness. Breathing's going to help you, So that's my come from with it, and practicing it and looking at what's getting in the way of it.
Is it possible, Scott, that if I lived in Manhattan and I'm surrounded by a lot of concrete and also not to mention the fumes of the cars, and then I moved to, I don't know, middle of Pennsylvania somewhere or upstate New York where there's a lot of trees, and they say plants and trees put out a lot of oxygen. So I'm surrounded by more oxygen. Am I able to function better because I have access to more oxygen and fewer pollutants because I'm in one environment compared to the other?
Well, we are extremely adaptable, okay? Whether you're in Manhattan, by the way, that's where my practice is, in Manhattan, and I'm going to, I'll go on this, I'll err on the side of, yeah, it's basically probably healthier. However, we are so adaptable for detoxifying and adding in things that can help oxygenate us, like the foods that are best for us and supplementations that are good for us and deep breathing and avoiding standing behind the bus when it's pulling off.
Right.
Step away.
Yeah.
I do that all the time. I see the bus pull up, I'm standing at the bus stop. Right?
Yeah.
So it's just the come from where, you know what, I'm living in an urban environment. This is what I got. This is what I got to make the best of.
You know, it's interesting. In the hospital, when my dad was sick, he had the nurses gave him this plastic thing he blew into to exercise his breathing.
Spirometer.
Is that what it's called? Yeah, and he had to move the ball a certain distance or something. It was some kind of a test or an exercise, basically.
Yeah. It's geared to counteract the effects of anesthesia, to help keep the respiration going, because when you're under anesthesia, your breathing does tend to modify, and that machine helps to re-strengthen your diaphragm and your breathing capacity. So back on the note of oxygenating, it's imperative that we do exercise, that we eat oxygenated food, which usually is fresher, less processed.
Right.
And everybody has special food needs and diets, so you can't just say, that's one of my peeves, is when we hear on the media, this works, this is it, this is the answer, take this pill, or do this for 6 minutes a day, and you're going to look like that.
Well, and I wanted to, actually, that's kind of the direction I wanted to go as we wrap it up. I want to tell the audience, A, I have a copy of the book, The Daily Breath. B, the book doesn't try to sell you anything because air is free.
Yes.
So call me if you want the copy that was sent to us, and I'll leave it here for you with your name on it. The rest of us have to go buy it. Scott Morofsky is who you will look up, Morofsky. And Scott, real quick, do you have a website?
Yeah, it's wellativity.com, WELL, ativity, like relativity, and that's no accident. Wellness is relative to all aspects of health. And we have the audio messages for driving safety, food and diet, public service, and about 110 total for members, and the membership is free. And also for members, you get a free virtual comic book called The Adventures of Dr. Albert Einstein and His Theory of Relativity.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I'm featured in it because I'm talking to Dr. Einstein.
I bet you are. Scott.
And we address bullying for teenagers.
Oh, wow.
And road rage for Breathe Man.
Scott, thank you so much. Scott Morofsky, we've run out of time. This is WOCA Ocala. Call if you want the book, 622-9622. We'll be right back.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Pat O'Neill. Another rout on Wall Street after more sharp declines in overseas markets. The Dow down about 700. It had been down almost 1,000.
1,100 would be about where they would halt trading here at the New York Stock Exchange totally and give it a breather. So hopefully we don't get there.
Worries over China's economy hurting the markets. 3 Americans and a British man who subdued a gunman on a train in France last week awarded France's Legion of Honor. President Hollande through a translator.
The 4 men who stood up together against one, not just to save their own life, but to also save other lives, to support others.
The men tackled the suspect as he moved through the train with an assault rifle. In Spain, a woman who had never flown a plane brought a microlight aircraft in for a crash landing in Seville after her pilot husband lost consciousness. He died. The woman suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Fox News, we report, you decide.
And now, a touching moment while staying in touch with Geico.
It was a warm summer day. I was just sitting on a porch watching a babbling brook roll by. Then, out